The lion just yawned. Massive teeth like that. So there's two. We're aiming for the one on the right, which is slightly older.
It has to get up.
You have to get it up. Okay.
So the lioness is lying down.
It can easily deflate.
Just need her to sit up, and then Margaret will be able to get the dart straight into the muscular part of her thigh, hopefully. Okay, so firstly, it went in and they startled, but now they've just totally calmed down. So brilliant shot, Margaret. Now we wait maybe 15 or 20 minutes, and then she should be fully under.
I think she's getting drowsy. The head is down.
Yeah, the head down.
Yeah.
So the head has gone down, so we'll give her maybe another minute.
Using the truck, we have to isolate the lion to be collared, as the younger one may rush in to defend her downed partner.
Just need to keep an eye where she went. Here's the stick, Margaret. Yeah.
Now we have to see if the downed lion is really sedated.
So Andy's just going to poke her to make sure she doesn't respond. She's definitely asleep. So.
Just when we thought it was safe to step out, the lioness shows she's still full of life. We're attempting to sedate and put a GPS collar on an endangered lion in Uganda's Queen Elizabeth Park.
So we have this vehicle just to make sure that the other lioness stays away. So we chased her out that way, but she banked round, and the last thing we want is her coming back. So we've got some of the park rangers just going that way to make sure that she stays away, so we can do everything with this lioness in total safety.
It's wise to be cautious, since the second lion could sprint in defensively in seconds.
Margaret's making sure that the cat can't swallow its tongue. The tongue's out, so she can't possibly choke on it, so she's not going to have any problems while she's under the anaesthetic. It's a big, healthy female.
Mustafa, can you get for me the drug boxes, please?
Just making sure that the collar can't come off. So it's going to feel quite unusual to her. So she'll try and force it off in the first few days until she gets used to it. And while we're doing this, Margaret's going to perform a range of other basic health checks, blood tests, that type of thing. Temperature, take a blood sample, general assessment of condition.
Even ticks are removed to ensure the good health of the lioness. Rangers continue to stand guard, alert to the possibility of a lion charge.
Then we have a look at this paw. Absolutely enormous. Essentially the size of my hand. And like most cats, they have retractable claws, like these. So they tend to keep them up, kept within the rest of the paw, but when they're attacking, they evert those claws and then they're put into action. It's incredibly sharp, about 1 inch long. So we've just given her a bit of iodine because she's got a wound inside here. Iodine's an incredibly good disinfectant. It kills basically everything. She's missing a couple of incisors. Just broken off a couple of incisors. Nothing serious. Otherwise, dentition looks really healthy.
If you want to get her getting up.
It seems the lioness is beginning to wake, while guards remain alert for the other one.
The park guard's been watching where the other lioness is and just moving to make sure that they stay between us and the lioness so it doesn't come here and cause us any problems. Right, so now we have to get back into the car. Margaret's administering the reversal agent and that will take effect pretty quickly. And then we monitor the lioness. And that was incredibly quick, incredibly efficient. It's been 26 minutes precisely. Collar is on. Job done. Fantastic. Margaret has administered the reversal agent, and then we just have to monitor her for a few minutes to make sure she fully regains her coordination. And then, well, the sun's already gone down. It's starting to get dark. She'll be off out on the hunt.
But there's a problem. The anaesthetic is taking much longer than expected to wear off, even after the reversal agent was injected.
We've got a storm brewing, but hopefully she'll wake up before that hits us.
Can we check on her?
Okay, you want me to drive up?
Yeah.
Margaret wants to examine the lion for vital signs, clues to her alertness. Like people, individual lions respond in different ways to anaesthetic, and her full revival could take hours. But with a thunderstorm brewing, the timing could not be worse. Margaret tests for any signs of revival.
Exactly 20 minutes since the reversal agent was put in. She's just sleeping like a baby. She's breathing at a really good rate, just deep and steady, constant rate of breathing, so we know she's fine, but you pressed on that pressure point at the end of the tail and she didn't even budge an inch. Margaret would like to give a bit of a top-up of reversal, just to try and speed the process up. We can't leave her until she's up and off and running again, because hyenas could come in and kill her, or she could be hurt in some other way.
Margaret makes sure the lion is not awake before stepping out to administer another dose of the revival agent.
Whoa, wow, look at that. Fantastic.
Finally, she comes around, looking healthy.
She's behind us. Well, she's very relaxed. We'll just leave her be now, and she's got a radio collar on, so we'll come back in the morning and find her and just make sure she's doing as well as we hope she is. And she's totally calm now anyway.
Next, I head north to hear of big cat attacks and the very noxious weed that is affecting the future of the park and the remaining lions. The next day, we follow the signal from the new collar to check up on our lioness.
So we've been looking for this radio-collared lioness for 3¼ hours, and it turns out we've been chasing a reflection of the radio signal, which Andy had predicted all along. And what she's done is head off into a ravine, so the signal was easily lost and must be bouncing off various other things, sending us on a merry dance around the park. There she is.
So it was great to see the female that we collared last night sitting and just relaxing underneath the tree. It's just gone midday, so it's the hottest part of the day, and she's quite rightly taken a bit of shade in order to rest and recuperate. She's not far from where we collared her, but she's bright and alert, and the collar seems to be well fitted and she's not itching at it, so it seems to have been highly successful, which is fantastic.
Heading back across the southern Ishasha region of the park, I come across a different kind of formidable creature.
So although I'm here in the savannas of Uganda looking for what is largely regarded as one of the most dangerous animals in the whole world, the lion, in reality, these things are almost as bad. So these are African army ants. The reputation that these have is absolutely fearsome. I've heard rumours of babies literally being carried out of their cots and off to be devoured over towards where the army ants have their nest. And I know for sure that whole-grown animals that have been kept caged have been stripped of all their flesh, so there's absolutely nothing left, simply overnight. In some parts of Africa, they're actually used as sutures. So if you have a wound, like a gash down your head, you can hold these soldiers up to the wound and they'll just clamp on. They'll clamp onto anything that's in front of them. It's a bit of grass and it's nailed that. And they'll clamp on and they'll pin your wound so well together that acts in exactly the same way as a stitch would. If you have a long wound, simply use half a dozen ants and then let your wound heal as it would after a visit to the doctor.
My journey to understand the human-lion conflict takes me north.
Some of the pastoralist communities live right on the edge of the park boundary itself. And it's these communities that are suffering the greatest loss of their livestock as a result of predation by the lions, but also these communities that are most heavily persecuting the lions in revenge.
Raising cattle is part of the fabric of these communities, and I want to find out how these pastoralists are coping with lions in their midst, even as an invasive plant is only making matters worse. Introduced as an ornamental plant by European settlers, the toxic Lantana camara has spread across the land, in effect forcing farmers to seek safer grazing inside the national parks, exposing them to lions.
These pillars mark the boundary of Queen Elizabeth National Park, and they're every 100 or 150 metres or so, more or less all the way around. But as you can see, there's essentially no difference between this side in the national park and that side in the communal grazing areas. And this is where the farmers are moving their cattle in. And they're moving in, coming into contact with the lions, and the lions are following them back out. And then the lions are actually taking the cattle, not only inside the park, but right next to the villages as well.
When the lion come to attack this crowd, I have dogs. So when the dogs bark, they make noise, then I wake up. I just chase the lion with my dog. As I reach the lion, just give it a cane, then it goes. When your cow is eaten by a lion, then it means you are not going to survive.
There's an absolutely enormous number of cattle here, probably over 100 head of cattle, and they'd all belong to one person. And well, it might not seem such a bad idea, but these cows, these spectacularly charismatic longhorn cattle, are highly non-productive. They do not produce good or much beef, and they do not produce much milk either. What would be a far better situation would be if they sold off these cows and replaced them with much more productive cows. Therefore, they need far less in order to get much more out of the same investment.
I speak with Nelson Goomer, who manages the park's wildlife, about the dilemma.
How do you manage the conflict of lions and people? Because lions are taking livestock. How do you go about trying to reduce that possibility?
There's no policy of compensation. So if the lions eat your livestock, that is certainly not compensated. Now, we try to support the livelihood of these communities. When it is an injury, then we meet the medical costs. But we're trying to look at initiatives that would help communities to benefit. Maybe tourism would be one of them.
This elder in the village told me they plan to put up a better lighting system in the village to keep lions out of the communities at night. For the time being, there may be an even easier solution. Eliminate the invasive plant. Benjamin, part of the Wildlife Conservation Society team, is supporting local initiatives to remove the toxic lantana from traditional grazing areas around the park.
How much of an issue is the lantana? Does it cover a large area of the grazing land?
Yeah, it was 2/3 of their land was covered by lantana camara in this community, 2/3. At least now they are going at least less than that.
With fewer plants deadly to grazing cattle, it's hoped that the locals will keep their herds outside of the park and away from the lions. When I head back south to Ashasha to resume the lion collaring, I come across a massive python with a nasty temper. It's day 4 of our lion study in Uganda's Queen Elizabeth National Park. Heading out this morning, I get 2 surprises. First, we're stopped dead in our tracks by a herd of very territorial elephants. Next, there's news of a giant python sighting, which I have to check out.
So it's just after dawn, and we're going to just spread out and try and find it, and then see what state it's in. And there's some birds alarm calling over there, which could be an indication, but we'll have to see. But I'm going to check this area of brush first, and just hope there's no lions.
Local rangers said the python had just eaten a cob antelope and was crossing the road. It could be anywhere in this underbrush.
A small hole there, too small for it to have got into.
It looks like the guides have found a clue.
So you can see path through the bush. If that was a mammal path, it would be flattened from the top as opposed to just underneath, with this corridor left above it. Evidence of snakes. Well, I found it. And from this angle, it looks enormous. So now you get that kind of sense in your stomach of the butterflies starting, and you just don't know what's going to happen. Right, you can see where it's eaten. Tail here. Here is the head. It's big, so based on its head size, I would say it's probably around 11 to 12 feet. So what I'm going to do is just try and encourage it out without actually having to manhandle it out. Then we can have a good look at it. So here it comes. Hello. These guys are notoriously aggressive. Just maniac, lunatic, aggressive, that type of thing. But, as well as that, they have just an incredible strike length. Here she comes. Oh, whoa! I don't want to handle it too roughly because it's eaten, and I don't want it to regurgitate its food. So ideally I can just kind of encourage it out so we can get a good look. There we go. Leave the cameraman alone. Oh, get that stick out of your mouth. There we go. Yeah, so its strike distance is to about a foot away from me at the moment. It's probably best it stays that way, but I'll try and encourage her out if I can. They'll strike anywhere at the body. I know of people that have been bitten around the legs and even the torso by these. And with something like a cob, as soon as it's got it fixed, basically the cob's dead. And then once the cob has actually been asphyxiated, it will be swallowed head first. And it's amazing, you can actually see all of the different lumps of the cob's body. You can see where its head is, which is only about a metre back from the tip of the tail of the snake. It's swallowed it pretty quickly. Helps that they've got an enormous stomach. Well, it's an amazing encounter. I've been incredibly lucky to have seen her. And because she's so full, I don't want to stress her out any more than I already have, just by moving this around and getting a good glimpse of her. I'm just going to have to guess, based on her enormous size, that she is a pretty full-grown female. Probably 20 years old, there or thereabouts. Probably has another 10 years worth of picking off the cob around this national park in her. Excellent, we'll leave you alone.
At the core of saving the lions of Ashasha is the need to stop villagers' revenge killings, which also affects animals such as hyenas and very rare vultures.
So we're going to be actually doing a capture, mark, recapture program here, is that right?
Yeah, what we've traditionally done is we've done a count once a year, and at this time of year, every year, see the maximum number of vultures you get at a kill. And now what we're trying to do is actually capture some of those and do a proper capture mark recapture analysis to see how it compares to the counts we get at a killed cow.
We're also, I suppose, hoping that some large mammals will come down to the kill as well.
Well, there's a good chance lions will turn up at some point, maybe tonight, but I think we plan to leave some cameras out, so see if we can capture those.
That would be great.
But one of the problems that the lions have is when they kill a cow like this, the owners of the cow get annoyed, not surprisingly. They'll lace them with poison, but what they poison can be anything, so it can be the lions, or it can be hyenas that turn up, or it's often the vultures.
Do you know what number of lions have been poisoned in that way in this park?
In the last 10 years, it's an estimated about 15 to 20 lions.
It's shocking.
Which out of 140 total, that's quite a lot.
That's horrendous. I remember you saying 50 vultures were poisoned at a single kill as well.
Yes.
That's diabolical when you've
only got 250.
That's pretty poor.
Going to all these carcasses, yeah.
So Dr. Plumtree sets up a vulture count program using a locally butchered cow as bait to monitor the health of the vulture population. I'm setting up our remote cameras to film the vultures and any lions that show up. We wait several hours, but no groups of vultures appear to feed. Something else must have their attention. We decide to leave the carcass to see what shows up in the evening. It's Janet, the mother with cubs, wearing an old radio collar.
About 20 minutes before the sun's about to go down, one of the collared lionesses has just come to the cow, which is pretty fantastic. I just had time to set the camera traps up as well, so I should be getting some pretty amazing footage of her eating from the camera traps which are right next to where the cow is. The reason I think this is important to observe this type of thing is because lions really are predating quite a lot of cows in the area here in Ishasha, in the Queen Elizabeth National Park, but also all over Africa. One of the most concerning causes of fatality in lions is the poisoning of carcasses on purpose by local livestock owners. So a carcass like this will be laced with a form of insecticide, and therefore anything that eats on it is going to die. And that includes lions, includes hyenas, jackals, vultures, and various other species. Anything which touches it is going to be killed. It's totally indiscriminate, and it's a lamentable thing that people are doing this to wildlife. And they're doing it in retribution, and they're doing it in spite, I suppose, in spite because they don't like the fact that there are predators on the lands where they want to graze their cattle. But the national parks and the wildlife that lives inside the national parks in Africa and everywhere in the world are really the most valuable things that are still left on this earth. Not only in terms of revenue gained from ecotourism, the types of people that want to come and see these animals pay a lot of money for the privilege to do so, but also just in terms of intrinsic value. What is the world without its wild places and its wild animals?
Then Jane, the lioness we collared, shows up to feed at the carcass. We leave the cameras, hoping some vultures might show up by morning.
And in the lion house, 8-week-old Tjas is enjoying his playtime, unaware that today his future will be decided. Watching Tjas, headkeeper Alan Woodward is steeling himself for the news. Tjas was hand-reared by Alan, and after weeks in an incubator grew strong enough to be transferred to a larger enclosure.
Look what I've got.
But it soon became clear that Tjas was struggling to walk.
We're a bit concerned about the bone growth in his front legs. I mean, in one it's more pronounced than in the other.
Come on.
At the Animal Health Centre, there were fears his condition could be a symptom of much more serious problems.
He doesn't seem to be able to bend his wrists at all.
No.
After conducting a series of tests, head vet Stephanie Sanderson has been consulting experts, and the results are in.
We've shown these radiographs to one of the orthopaedic surgeons at Liverpool Vet School, and he's been extremely helpful, and also had a look through the literature to have a look if there's similar things that they might see in dogs and cats that might give us some clues as to what's going on with Tjas. There were all sorts of possible reasons for Tjas to have this limb deformity. So one of the things we did yesterday is we had another look at him, and we could feel how tight the tendon was in his wrist. And so we were quite confident that the reason why he can't walk properly is because that tendon's too tight. The one thing we were really concerned about was whether he might have some bone problems. But the bending that we're seeing in his legs from when he's walking doesn't seem to be associated with bending of the bones. So it's really good news that they're straight, and the bending all seems to be due to the fact the tendon's too tight.
It's the result everyone was hoping for. The tendon problem is easily treatable, and Alan's delighted to hear that Tjas is going to be okay.
It's brilliant news, which really it's just been a huge relief for all of us, really. Up until yesterday, Tjas' condition was extremely worrying for myself and the whole team. Lots of things were going through our minds. So it feels as if a huge weight has been lifted off all our shoulders, and things looking far more positive for Tjas now.
In order to correct the problem, Tjas will return to the Animal Health Centre later today to have his legs placed in splints.
With some physiotherapy and some strapping of the leg, you can often give the animal enough support for that tendon to stretch enough for them to walk normally again. And that's what we're going to do later on. And the orthopaedic surgeon's going to come out and have a look at him in about 3 weeks' time and see whether we need to do anything else or whether it's sorted itself out. If it doesn't work out by using the splints alone, he may need to go to surgery. But at the moment, we're fairly hopeful that we'll be able to fix it without him having to go through that.
If the procedure goes well, Tjas will be walking normally in a matter of weeks.
Grumpy Goblin.
Chester Zoo is busy with visitors, but inside the Lion House, it's all gone quiet. For the second time in under a week, Tjas is at the Animal Health Centre.
Can you back his head up a wee bit?
Head vet Stephanie Sanderson and veterinary nurse Tanya Kerno are preparing to place Tjas's legs in splints.
So you want it...
So if you...
We're going to have to cast it around...
What they'd like us to do, what they suggested we did, was the tendon is just behind it, and you can feel there's a really tight band there.
Yeah.
Okay? So what we're trying to do is support that tendon so that it can start to stretch. So we need to try and get the foot in that sort of position.
Tjas's tendons need to be stretched to enable him to walk properly. The procedure won't hurt, but it will leave him in a cast and bandages for the next few weeks.
So what Tanya's doing now is putting some padding around the foot, because the last thing we want to do is the cast to rub on his feet when he tries to walk. So we put padding between the toes to stop them getting all sweaty and horrible.
That's if they stay in, the toes.
Yeah. The idea of these strips of tape is we'll incorporate them in the bandage, and it means that he won't just be able to pull the bandage off like a pair of gloves. It will be stuck to his skin, so he can't just rip it off. As being a small lion, he will probably have great fun chewing at it, and then this is a special sort of cotton wool bandage that acts as padding.
There we go, are we happy?
Yeah.
Tanya prepares one of the casts that will be strapped to Tjas's legs. This will support his foot while the tendon is being stretched.
Right, there?
Yeah.
That's probably right, isn't it?
It stiffens up as it goes cold.
Are you happy with that?
Yeah. It just needs a light support.
Once the splint's in place, surgical tape keeps it there.
Right.
Nice.
One down, one to go. The condition that he's got is not a painful condition. He doesn't have any swelling or inflammation or any pain related to these joints. It's just that he physically can't bend them. So all we've done now is actually to make the movement in those wrists even less. Now he's got his bandages on, and he will find that quite irritating to start with, I'm sure. Doesn't come off. He can bend his elbow. I can't feel any sharp bits, I don't know if you can.
As Tjas grows, the team will need to repeat the process. But assuming there are no complications, he'll be out of bandages and running round the enclosure in no time.
We're just waiting for him to come round now. Yes. There we go.
Yeah. Out.
Yep. Clever boy. This is what's going on. See? She says, this happened to me last time. Big yawn, eh? No. Should we put you back to bed? Come on, you.
Tjas needs to rest for a while to recover from the anaesthetic. At the Animal Health Centre, head keeper Alan Woodward has arrived to see how Tjas will cope with his splints.
What I was going to do is show you what he's like on the floor so you can
That's
get
great.
an appreciation of how he's walking.
I didn't realise they're going to be so big, his splints. Really.
Well, we
baby.
have a feeling
Hello.
that he's going to have a good old chew at them.
Right.
And we've put the elastoplast around it in case he decides to have a chew, so that they don't just all fall apart. Come on, Trouble. So, if you want to just...
Should I go down this end?
Yeah. Not all the way, but then I'll just point him in your direction. And
Tjas.
hopefully...
Tjas.
The first few steps... Careful.
Come on, baby. Come on.
So considering he's just had bandages put on his legs, he's actually pretty good at standing up on those.
He's walking very well, isn't he,
Yeah.
really? I'm surprised.
Come back here, sweetie.
Come on.
But he's quite good on those. The other thing
He's
you may
brilliant.
notice is that he's now walking a bit better on his back legs.
Yes, yeah.
He's not throwing the weight back on his back legs to try and relieve the pressure on his wrists. There you go. So you can do it, it's just going to take a little bit of getting used to.
He's doing extremely well, isn't he, with,
Yeah.
with those on?
We had a look through the recommendations in that paper from the problem in dogs.
Right.
And the one thing they say is try not to give him too much exercise, which means no jumping up and down off the sofa and no running up and down the stairs.
Right.
Which hopefully for a lion we wouldn't be trying to do anyway.
No, definitely not. No. Let's put his boots on.
It's like you're Puss in Boots all over again, isn't it?
I feel a lot better now that we found out what's wrong with him. And hopefully we're going to see a progression into Tjas being normal again, really. I think Tjas certainly has kept myself and the whole team on our toes. The last 8 weeks has been an emotional roller coaster. It's been a very precious 8 weeks. It's something I wouldn't have missed for anything, really, because he's so special. And I know if we hadn't intervened at the time, he wouldn't be with us today, and we're certain of that.
Tjas will grow up to be one of only a few hundred Asiatic lions left in the world, helping to safeguard the future of his species.
This morning, David and handler McKay and Kube have come to check on the new arrivals. David hasn't worked with the lions for 4 months, and they may not remember the bond they shared.
One thing is they haven't come up to the enclosure fence here to greet us. And what's important for them is they need to feel comfortable with us so that they'll follow us out into the reserve, and that's how they're going to get the rest of the experience that they need ready for release. So one of the things we're going to do today is just go in with them and start that bonding process. It shouldn't take too long because obviously they are used to it. They just need to realise that, you know, they can be safe around us. Okay, let's go. Okay, just take it very gently, eh? Yeah.
The lions were hand-reared, and for safety, it's important they still see the handlers as dominant members of their pride.
Hello, you two. Gently now. Hey, Batoka. Hey, Babasi. Gently. Hello.
Oh, my lions, come on, easy. Come on, lions.
That's what we want. Hello, little girl. Hello.
Come on, Batoka, come.
Batoka and Bubesi may look tame, but David and McKay have years of experience, and their ability to read the lion's behaviour is the only thing keeping them safe.
That's a good sign. The way they greet is just to rub their cheeks up against you.
The greeting is a clear indication that the lions still see David as a member of their pride.
Hey, Come on, come. Some people might think that being here in an enclosure with 2 large lions is, frankly, a bit insane. The reason why we're able to do this is, from a young age, these lions understand that we are dominant members of their pride. So they've no interest in hurting us. We do discipline them when they're small so they can understand the limits of play behaviour with a human, and that's the only training that they get through the whole programme. Hey.
Like all adolescents, Batoka likes to test the boundaries of acceptable behaviour.
None of that, thank you. Okay?
No.
Sometimes when they come up, they'll try and just ankle tap you. There are certain things, behaviours, where we don't allow that. We give them a discipline, which is done in only one way, which is just a slap to the side of the face. It mimics very much what they might get from their mother. That will be front paw, slam. And I can tell you when a wild mother does it, there's about a ton of force coming behind it. Me and my little hand, certainly not going to hurt them, but it's just a sign to them that you overstepped the boundary there, and immediately he backed off.
Ankle tapping is a skill that lions use to trip their prey. The technique is also used during play fights with other lions, but Batoka has to remember that playing rough with the handlers is not acceptable.
Let's move away. Come on. Just start walking that way. Come, call them.
Come on, big. Come on.
Move your butts. Come on.
There's one more test that David must do before he can be sure that walking with the lions will be safe.
Stacey, come. Come on.
Come on, Gracie.
Come on, boy.
Come on.
Come on.
Let's go, Cat. Come on, let's go.
So this is also good. We're just trying out a bit of following.
Come on.
They're responding really well. So this is a really good start. I don't think it'll be very long before we can take these out.
Hey. Yes. Hello, my boy.
Later, David checks on Sango's progress. The 2-year-old male will soon reach sexual maturity, so he's been separated from his sister Swahili and placed with 2 other males, Echo and Etosha.
Hello, boys. Now, Sango in a wild situation, exactly the same with Echo and Etosha, would have been kicked out of their pride that they were born in, and they would have to go it alone. But whilst out in what we call a nomadic phase, it's quite common for young males of different litters to meet up and then join up and become a coalition. So it's quite normal, but the main point here is that all 3 of them are basically sitting together. There's no injuries, they haven't been fighting, and they seem to be grooming each other as well. This is all good sign that Sango is settling in very well into this new male coalition group.
Come on, come.
Sango's sister Swahili was moved to the other side of the reserve with 2 other females, Soraya and Sahara. David wants to see how well the group is bonding, so he's leading them out on a hunt to see if they can work together.
Come.
The females are 2 years old. With lions of this age, it's safer for David and the project volunteers to ride in trucks.
This is an important walk from our point of view. We really want to see how is the dynamic working. Come on! At the moment, we've got Swahili leading. She was always, would always follow Sango before and wouldn't lead, so it's good that, that she's out front at the moment. She seems quite comfortable. She's walking confidently, and the other 2 are following. They look like a perfectly normal little group of lions here.
It's not long before the 3 females get their first opportunity to hunt as a team.
It's quite a large herd of impala just up here on this open flay. It's difficult to tell exactly whether the lions have seen them or not because they're slightly lower down, but hopefully at some point they'll spot a movement and the chase will be on. The Sahara's stalked forward a bit, and that looks like Swahili following it. So they might be picking up on the scent, even if they can't specifically see them yet.
Swahili and Sahara start to stalk forward, but in the middle, Soraya doesn't seem to know what to do.
Soraya, to be honest, seems oblivious to the whole thing. There's absolutely no accounting for what lions will do. Sahara has clearly seen the impala. Swahili has got it going on. Soraya, on the other hand, is going exactly in the opposite direction. It's all a learning process. Okay, now she's got it. But she's interested. Sahara jumped off to the right, obviously flanking. The other two held their position, but Sahara does seem to have lost interest. What I have seen before is where a herd runs away in lots of different directions, as this impala herd has just done, it quite often confuses a young lion and they really just don't know which way to go. So I think she might have given up, but they are still slowly heading in the direction of the herd. So we'll try and follow them. Okay, do you want to move forward?
David's desperate to see effective cooperation between the lionesses. It's their best chance of a kill.
Cubs have seen a giraffe. Sahara is leading up front, and now the other two are also following. Frankly, I think that meal is just a little bit too big for them, but it's not unheard of. We've had a 13-month-old lion kill a giraffe before. She's getting into the long grass now. That's going to give her cover. Big male giraffe, not a chance. But again, the thing there is she started stalking, okay, and it's the practice. She'll understand that she has to stalk a little bit better, take advantage of the longer grass, and she'll learn for next time when she's approaching something a bit more manageable size.
Lions can only charge at top speed for around 30 meters. Stalking skills are vital to get close enough to prey.
There's more giraffe just on this open area in front of us. See how it looks like Swahili's taken a far right flank. Sahara's coming up on the left. Now it looks like Soraya is headed in the same direction Swahili has.
This time, the three really cooperate, using a typical pride tactic. One lion makes a charge, forcing the prey towards others hidden in the grass.
Head towards the two giraffe on the right. Oh, hold on. Left.
Although it doesn't pay off this time, it's a significant development.
Just move forward through that way slowly. I think the other two will be in there. And now it's getting darker. You can all immediately see a difference in their behaviour. Don't know how best to describe it, except they seem to be walking in a much more determined way.
As the light fades, lions gain confidence and energy for the hunt. Their night vision is thought to be 7 times better than humans, and they do most hunting at dusk and dawn.
Now, in a moment, I'm going to turn on a spotlight that we have. It has a red filter on, which will reduce the impact that we have on what's going on around us in their natural behaviour. Come, girls. Come on. That's it. Good girls.
The 3 lions are keeping together. They're working as a unit here, and that's really what we wanted to see tonight. Swahili is still leading. Quite determined little thing, isn't she? Sango's long forgotten, I'm afraid, and I do think there's possibly an animal coming up on the right-hand side. There is. Just up ahead of us in the long grass is either a duiker or a steenbok, which is a small antelope, only maybe 2 feet at most in height. So we're just going to stop back. The lions hopefully will move in that direction and they'll see it. The problem for the lions to overcome here is that the duiker's normal response in fear is to run a short distance and then duck down and sit in the grass. Very quietly and therefore difficult to find.
The lioness's sense of smell is weaker than their sight and hearing. If it stays completely still, the little antelope may escape detection.
How did she miss it? I think it's sitting down with its eyes closed. It's around here somewhere. It's steenbok at canny. Kids, you were so close. They're ready to go home.
It's time to call it a night.
Come on, Saeed, come. Come on, jump. Come on.
We had a couple of good chases this evening and a few near misses, and yeah, I'm a little disappointed that they didn't manage to get anything, but the important thing is Swahili seems to be very well integrated into this group of 3, and surprisingly for us, she led pretty much the whole way. And looked good doing it.
The Antelope Park Reserve in Zimbabwe forms part of the African Lion Rehabilitation and Release into the Wild programme, a controversial project trying to tackle the problem of declining lion populations. Here, captive bred lions develop the skills they need to survive under the guidance of human handlers led by David Youlden. 18-month-old brother and sister, Batoka and Bubesi, have recently arrived at the reserve from one of the programme's other sites on the Zambian border.
Well, let's see if we can head that way and see how good these things are at hunting.
David hasn't walked with the lions for 4 months, but he's assessed their behaviour to make sure they still see him as a dominant member of their pride. Taking every precaution, he's called in his most experienced handlers.
As walks go, this is about as difficult for us as it gets. Obviously, they are quite large and they don't know us that well. So how they're going to react is something new to us. We're going to have to learn very quickly. So I brought quite a few of my colleagues here today. Just by having sheer numbers of people on the walk, they'll feel a little bit unnerved by that, and therefore, actually, as a result of that, they should calm down a bit. Is everyone feeling okay, confident? Cool, just normal rules, just if we can try and stay as a group. Okay, let's go. Come on. Come on. Hello. Come on. Come on. Hey, Tokes. Come on. That's it. And she's off. Okay, do you want to round them up? The lion handlers will have to run around behind them and just make a bit of noise to try and usher them back to the group.
As adolescents, Batoka and Bubesi have already developed a strong, independent streak.
This way, come on.
Come, you two. Don't know where they're going, but they are determined with it. Come on, come. Toka.
Come, Batoka, come.
Warthog kids. Just in these first few hundred metres of the walk, we can already see these lions have their own agenda entirely. And that's fine to a point, but what we need to do every so often is just walk away, call them and see if they follow. On this occasion, after a moment's hesitation, they have changed direction. So that's what we need to keep going. Come on.
It's not long before lion manager Leanne Marnock spies an opportunity for Batoka and Bubesi.
When we were heading across here, we saw some war dogs run away, and we've just come across some dung. Batoka picked up the scent. You can see he was sniffing it just now, so hopefully we'll find where they've gone.
Come on, boys, come. Come on. Come on, let's go, come.
After a while, Batoka picks up warthog scent again. And this time, he's close enough to charge.
That's so close.
Close. She's still going. Okay, she's on now.
Bubesi joins in the chase.
I put bag of peas in my pocket. I couldn't run.
Very exciting stuff. Kicked straight in with the hunting instinct for Batoka. He charged off to the left. Bubesi went off to the right. Very, very close chase. This is a great walk. This must be where the warthogs are living. If he's prepared to put that amount of effort in this amount of heat, I think that he's going to be very, very good at hunting at night. Come on. Hello.
After the near miss, the handlers start to lead Batoka and Bubesi back to their enclosure. No one is prepared for what happens next. Out of the blue, Batoka brings Leanne to the ground. David and the handlers respond immediately, but Leanne suffers a bite wound to her thigh. Some days later, David spends time with Batoka and Bubesi to take stock.
Leanne is perfectly fine, and actually just speaking to her yesterday, she really can't wait to come back and just get back to work again. We do accept that when working with wild animals, there is always a risk that you could get injured. But certainly, speaking for myself, I accept risks every day, just in the normal day-to-day activities. And it's my opinion that the risk of walking lions is certainly no higher than many of the other things that I do without even thinking of it.
Incidents like this are extremely rare, but from now on, the handlers will only work with Batoka and Bubesi from the safety of a vehicle. It minimises risk while guaranteeing the lion's future.
It's everyone's opinion, including Leanne's, that these lions must continue within the programme. We'll just need to consider how we work with them over the coming weeks so that these lions that we've all invested so much time and effort into do get the full benefit of the release programme.